In this section of the course, we are going to integrate Braintree. In this video, I'm providing an overview for you so that you can see how you can set your checkout and your Braintree settings in the admin, and you will also see how the Braintree payment flow works on the front end. I'm also going to show you how you can register a sandbox account on Braintree, and I'll show you how you should set your sandbox account so that you can get the appropriate credentials for our demo application. First, I'm going to show you a test transaction so you'll see how the Braintree checkout workflow works. I have already opened the courses on this tab, but you can just click on the courses in the header and you will arrive at the same page. First, I will log in. And I will log in as a member, so don't forget, member@gmail.com and 12341234, and you are logged in as a member. Here are the courses that the member has already bought, so the German pre-intermediate, German beginner and English beginner courses. So we are going to buy the German intermediate course. Let's go back to the courses. And then we have to search for this one, the German Intermediate course. Click on Go to Course. And you see that it costs $555.55. So you have to click on the Buy Now button, and then we will be navigated to the checkout. On the left side of the checkout, you can see the contact information and billing address fields. So these are all fields that have to be provided in order to buy the course, except for the phone and for the apartment fields. All the other fields are compulsory. The email address field is automatically filled in, and then the email address cannot be changed. So in our demo application, only registered users can be directed to the checkout. This is the reason why you see the email address already here. On the right side of the checkout, you see the product itself, so the German Intermediate course, and how much it costs. And then there is the Select a Payment Method section. Only Braintree is enabled now. And if I click on this accordion, then you will see that we have the Braintree drop-in UI integrated into our demo application. If you're using the Braintree drop-in UI, then you can provide the option to your customer to pay with a card or to choose another way to pay and pay with PayPal. Later, when I will show you how you can register a sandbox account, I will tell you what you have to do in order to be able to use the PayPal checkout flow integrated within this Braintree drop-in UI. Below the Braintree section, you see that we have this red box here, and basically in our demo application, we are forcing the customer to accept the terms and conditions before the payment could be processed. If I click on this checkbox, then the red square or the red box becomes green and everything should be fine, or at least the customer has accepted the terms and conditions and the privacy policy, so the checkout can proceed or can be started. We have this button here, Fill in Dummy Info. I'm going to click on it. And as you can see, then the contact info and the billing address has been populated with some dummy information. So when you test the checkout flow, you don't have to provide the first name, last name, and so on manually each time. You can just click on this button and everything will be set up for you. So we can concentrate on the important stuff, the Braintree checkout flow. Now let's make a checkout with Braintree. And I'm going to click on Card. And actually I will show you a 3D secure checkout flow with Braintree. We have to navigate to this link, the Braintree's official CodePen example for the drop-in UI. Later, when we integrate Braintree, we will come back to this side, but for now what is important for us is to copy this card number and to take a note of the CVV, which is 123, and the expiration date has to be exactly 3 years in the future. So now it's January 2021, so my expiration date will be January 2024. So I will copy this card number and I will go back to the checkout, and I'm copying this card number here. The expiration date is going to be January 2024. Now actually I think that in the sandbox it will work with other expiration dates, but let's just stick to what Braintree suggests. And let's give the CVV number, which should be 123. Now I will click on complete purchase, or I will click on click to complete purchase, and then you will see that a model window will appear, which will be part of the 3D secure workflow. Okay, I'm clicking, there is a spinner here, and now the checkout is in progress. And yes, this is the model window that I was talking about. With the 3D secure workflow, it might happen that Braintree will need confirmation, or more like your bank will need confirmation that it is indeed you who is going to make this purchase of $555.55. So you might receive a text message, and you will receive a one-time password that you have to put in here, or you might receive a notification on your smartphone. Now, of course, in the Braintree sandbox, they tell you that you have to put in 1234 as the code in order to complete your sandbox workflow or sandbox checkout. Click on submit. And there is a modal window that shows that everything is fine and we are processing the request. And here is the order confirmation page. From the order confirmation page, the customer can click on go to dashboard. And on the dashboard, you see that we have this German intermediate course row, so the purchase was successful. Now it's time to talk about the backend, so how it works from the backend, how you can set up your Braintree checkout flow and the checkout page as well. So let me just log in as an admin. I will log out as a member. I can just close this tab, and I'm going to log in as admin. And remember that our fake admin account is admin@gmail.com, and 12341234 is the password, and I'm logged in as an admin soon. Okay, here we are. What is important for us now is the payment management menu in the sidebar. So let's click on it, and let's click on settings. And this is the place where you can set or you can adjust your checkout page. And you can also enable Braintree here on this page, but let's review the payment settings first, and then we will review the payment gateway settings. You can choose a currency. However, with Braintree, you have to know that actually what you will have is a Braintree merchant account, and your currency will be defined by that merchant account. So if you want to use Braintree, obviously in the demo application you should use the same currency that is set in your merchant account. However, if you're not setting the same currency, then on the front end you will see, for example, USD, but if your merchant account is in euros, then the customer will actually be charged in euros. So you have to be careful that your Braintree merchant account is in harmony with the currency that you choose here. As you can see, there are a lot of currencies that you can choose, but let's stick with USD for our demo. You have the option to use integer prices in this demo application. Now with the USD, it's not really usual to use integer prices, but there are currencies in the world where it just simply doesn't make any sense to use integer prices, so there are no decimal values. If you set this to yes, then it doesn't matter if you have a course that has a decimal price, it will be converted to an integer price. However, for our purposes, decimal prices are fine. You have the option to use a currency symbol. Now, if you choose USD, Euro, or GBP, so British Pound, then you can use a currency symbol, or, it makes sense to use a currency symbol because in the backend, we saved the symbols for these three currencies. If you use a different currency, then it doesn't matter if you set this to yes or no, because there is no currency symbol that can be used, so the text will be shown always for the other currencies. However, in a USD, and as you could see with the front-end checkout example, we didn't see USD written like USD, but we saw the USD symbol because we set this option to yes. If you're using these currencies, I think it's nicer to use the currency symbol because it's shorter and it looks better than these texts written on the front page. We have one other option for the checkout: use comma for separating decimals. Select yes if you want to use the comma for separating decimals and the period as a thousandth separator on the front end. Now I set this to no. And the reason for that is when we are working with USD, then the usual way is not to use the comma for separating the decimals, but to use the comma for separating the thousands. And we should use the period to separate the decimals. However, if you use the euro and you're based in Germany, then you might want to set this to yes, because the German way is the other way around, so you are actually using the comma for separating decimals and the period as the thousand separator. No matter what option you choose here, it will not have an effect on the price itself, of course. It is just for showing the preferred way of the number, or the number format on the front end. And now we can check the payment gateway settings. For us, only the two options are important now. So you can choose to enable or disable Braintree. Now, obviously, in this section, we are going to integrate Braintree, so we have to enable Braintree. However, you can also choose to enable PayPal within Braintree. So you saw on the front end that we could choose, on the checkout front end, that we could choose between the card payment and the PayPal payment. Now, if you set enable Braintree to yes, and you set this to no, this option to no, then only the card payment will appear on the front end. However, I would like to use PayPal as well, so I will set it to yes. And if you are finished with your checkout settings or payment settings and payment gateway settings, then you can just save your changes. However, before you save your payment settings, it is very important to go to the Braintree menu item and make sure that you selected the sandbox environment and that you have provided your sandbox merchant ID, sandbox public key, and sandbox private key. Of course, in our demo application, you could use the production environment, so you could test your production environment as well. And in that case, you have to choose production here and provide your production data. However, we are going to stick with the sandbox in this course. And if you don't know how you can get your Braintree data, then don't worry, because I'm going to show you now how you can register and how you can get all this information from Braintree. To set up a Braintree sandbox account, you have to navigate to sandbox.braintreegateway.com. Now, I already have a sandbox account, so I'm going to log in, but if you don't have one, you have to click on sign up so you can create one. So now I'm going to log in with my credentials. All right, and it's my dashboard. The first thing you want to do is to get your merchant ID. We have to go to this gear icon, business, and here is your merchant ID. This is the ID that you have to copy to the sandbox merchant ID field here. Let's go back to the Braintree dashboard. And as you can see, we have a merchant ID here, but we also have merchant accounts, or at least I have some merchant accounts. Below is a list of payment methods and currencies you are currently accepting. So this is where you can add a new merchant account, and this is where you can define in which currency that account should be operating and what you want to accept as payment for that merchant account. So as you can see, my default is the USD with PayPal merchant account, which is in a USD currency, and I'm accepting PayPal and all these other cards for payment. If you want to test your integration or our integration with different currencies, then you have to add new sandbox merchant accounts with different currencies, and you can also change the accepted payment methods for each merchant account. Now the next step is to get our keys, so the public key and the private key. You have to go to API, and then you will see the API keys. So there is the public key, and this public key you have to copy to this field in the demo application. And after you view your private key by clicking on view, you have to copy, of course, your private key to the field that is below the public key, so to this field. However, we are still not finished. Let's go back to the Braintree dashboard. You should go to fraud management, and you can see that there is this CVV section. Let's go to options. And if you want a CVV field in your checkout, so if you want the customer to provide the CVV field while paying, then you should set your CVV rules the same way as I set them. I think it's a good idea to set your CVV rules the same way I set them because, yeah, we would like the customers not to be cheated out of their money, so we would like the customers to be able to provide their CVVs when paying, and we want to make sure that the people who might steal credit card details will have a hard time paying with a stolen credit card. And there is one more thing that we have to set, and this will be a bit complicated. So let's go to the processing item. And as you can see, we can enable our customers to pay with PayPal. So you saw that on our front end, the customer could choose between paying with card or PayPal within the Braintree section. So if you want to provide PayPal, then for sure you have to enable it here in your Braintree dashboard. Moreover, you have to click on Options. And you have to provide your PayPal Sandbox credentials, and you have to link your PayPal Sandbox account with your Braintree Sandbox account. I also checked this box, the Manage PayPal Disputes in the Braintree control panel. Now, obviously, this is just a sandbox integration, a sandbox test, so it doesn't make much sense to manage disputes, but I think it's a good practice to manage the disputes in the Braintree control panel, so then there is only one control panel where you can manage everything for your production payments as well. Now, as you can see, by default, a mocked PayPal flow is used in a Braintree sandbox environment. It behaves similarly to production and returns sample responses as laid out in our general testing documentation. However, if you prefer to test the full functionality of your PayPal integration, you can connect your PayPal Sandbox test account to your Braintree Sandbox account. So this is exactly what we want to do here. We want to connect our PayPal Sandbox to our Braintree Sandbox. And for this, you will have to provide the PayPal email, the Sandbox email, the PayPal client ID, and the PayPal client secret. So now I will show you how you can get those. We have to navigate to developer.paypal.com, and then you should click on Login to Dashboard. Now, of course, if you don't have a PayPal Sandbox account, then you should register here. However, I do have one, so I'm going to log in now. I'm logging in. Now you see that I'm on my dashboard and I'm at the My Apps and Credentials menu item. And I have these REST APIs, so I have a default application. You should have this one as well after you register. However, I'm using the TM funnel application, and you can just click on your application, and you see that the Sandbox account is the Sandbox account associated with this application is the following. So this email is what you have to provide here for the PayPal email. The client ID here is what you have to provide for the PayPal client ID. And there is one other field, the PayPal client secret. You have to click on Show, and then you can copy your client secret, and then you just have to copy it here. And then the Braintree is actually set up, and it should be linked with your PayPal account if you provide the appropriate credentials here. Of course, probably you have to click on Link PayPal Sandbox as well. I already linked mine, so I could just unlink it, but I don't want to do that. However, let's go back to our PayPal dashboard again. So you can, of course, create an app. I'm not going to create one, but I will show you how to do it. So you can just come back to the My Apps and Credentials page, click on Create App, and then you can provide an app name, and you have to choose a Sandbox business account. Now, and then you can create the app. However, you will need a Sandbox business account, and if you go to Sandbox and Accounts, you will see that you should have a default Sandbox business account, so SB stands for Sandbox. However, if you want to use a different Sandbox business account, you can create a new account, and then you can select that for your new application. But of course, you can just use the system defaults, so you can just go to My Apps and Credentials, and you have the default application. and you can just use the information from your default application. And if you provide all these details to Braintree, then in your in your Braintree dashboard, you will see PayPal payments as well. So let me show you how your transactions will look like in your Braintree dashboard. So I clicked on this arrow and then I'm in the home. Then I'm on the home page inside my dashboard. I will click on transactions. Now I have to scroll down and search. And as you can see, there are these sandbox transactions in my Braintree dashboard, and most of them were made by card. But for example, I used my PayPal sandbox, personal sandbox account for a PayPal payment, and because I linked my PayPal sandbox to Braintree, then it shows up in my Braintree dashboard. Now you should also have a PayPal sandbox email or sandbox account. Let's go back to PayPal, and in the accounts section of the sandbox section, so to say, you will see that you have at least one default personal sandbox account, and this is sort of the buyer account. So if you are testing the Braintree integration demo app and you want to buy something with a PayPal checkout flow, then you can just use your default personal sandbox PayPal account. And actually we reached the end of this video, so don't forget that in our demo application, go to Payment Management, Braintree, choose Sandbox, and provide the data that I showed you. Then save this page, then go to the settings, which are actually your checkout settings, then set your checkout the way you want, and then don't forget to enable Braintree. And if you want PayPal, the PayPal checkout flow integrated into Braintree, then enable PayPal within Braintree as well. So here, select yes, and then save, and then you can test your checkout already. From the next video onwards, however, I'm going to show you how you can integrate Braintree.